Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn-Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hello and welcome, or hopefully it's welcome back to USA Global TV and Radio, where we proudly provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. I'm Dr. Jacalyn-Kerbeck. I am your host for today's show, which is the Mallorca Connection, one of our long-standing programs that started, I think, about 4 years ago. With the star of our show, Mr. Roland-Friedl, we just did another show together, It's Your Healthy Lifestyle. So mark on your calendar, save the dates for Mondays for these two back-to-back shows. Roland is a Mantrepreneur. He's an entrepreneur. He's also a Juice Plus distributor. He is an author, and he is someone who really has strong opinions about things. I love that about him. And he is an expert in many, many ways. He's been a mentor to me for years, and he's an overall very good person and good guy. Let's welcome Roland to the program. Hello, hello.
Hello, Dr. Jacalyn. Hello, Roland. Thank you for this introduction. Wow. Goosebumps.
You are welcome. So has it been 4 years?
Yes. Yes, I guess it's September or something. It's going to be 4 years. Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy how the time goes by. You know, for a new book that I'm writing, the book about the evolution of USA Global TV and Radio, I went to YouTube and I wanted to see, when did we really start making inroads in terms of the number of subscribers? And it was August the 12th of 2022, which isn't even 3 years ago. We had about 414 subscribers. And I don't know what we had before that. It had to be less than that, but it's amazing. And I really believe it's because of people like you who show up on a regular basis and really share world-class education. So I want to thank you for that. And I want to thank you for speaking your minds and also for doing shows in German. That is a huge, huge asset because we don't have any other programs that are in different languages. So I love the fact that you are not in the box. You're not out of the box. There is no box.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Jacalyn. First of all, it's always an honor and a pleasure. And I'm very happy to be part. I would call it the USA Global TV and Radio family. And because we have, first of all, thanks to you that I know that's a massive work that you're investing here to build up this broadcast station and enable us or give us the opportunities, myself and so many other amazing colleagues here that really share their wisdom and experience and for our audience to learn something that really can have an impact or even can be a game changer for the life. So thanks a lot to you, Dr. Jacalyn.
Thank you very much. You know, Roland, someone said to me not that long ago, and I've had this said to me in the past, but so what do you watch on TV? And I'll say, well, I don't watch traditional television. I don't have cable. I do watch some streaming shows because I'm kind of addicted to reality TV, which I think you're not a fan of. But I learned so much by watching our shows. Like, for example, one of our team members, and then by the way, we're getting into the topic about water, so we're going to come back there. One of our team members, Talia Smith, she has her own show called This Is Floxed. She took 3 Cipro pills and she ended up being floxed, they call it, and she was in hospice and she's been in palliative care for 4 years. I didn't know anything about it. She does the show from her hospital bed. It's unbelievable. But I didn't know anything about Cipro and the potential side effects. And you had a guest on, I think it was this show. We were just talking about her and her team. She's in Spain and she's doing something quite unique. And I didn't know anything about that. So let's get into the topic, and then maybe you can segue, bring your friend who was on. The topic is the future of clean water, innovation, access, and global impact. Some people are still not aware of what is going on with the world and even ocean pollution. Can you talk a little bit about how important fresh, clean water is?
I mean, water is the source of life. You know, we need. You cannot plant or grow anything without water and sun. We need the water. We need the energy, the sun. So water is so important. And I think what the point with water is, in our Western hemisphere, in our like in the US and Canada and Europe, is we are used to clean water. Here we go to the tap, we just open it, and there comes fresh water, it comes hot water, a lot of pressure. So. And I was used to do it as a kid, you know. Water was for me normal. And then when I started as a teenager, when I started traveling, so I'm traveling since 40 years now all over the globe. I went to many regions where there is no tube at all. First of all, if there is a tube, it's no fresh water, it's not clean water, it's not hot at all, it has no pressure, so it comes a little bit. It doesn't come every hour, so maybe 3 hours a day or maybe twice a week or something like that. And then I found out, oh my gosh, most people don't have access to clean water, and we are wasting it where we use our drinking water to wash our cars or whatever. Yeah. And so from this time on, I was in my early 20s, I was very into water, and I found out, well, water is so important, because again, for me as an Austrian, you know, I'm Austrian. Is for the US people who are never out of the country. Austria is a very, very small country in the middle of Europe. Unfortunately, we started with World War First and World War Second, and we lost it together with the Germans. But it's a very small country. We have a lot of mountains. We have a lot of snow in winter. We have a lot of lakes, and we have amazing fresh water. I know some small rivers where you can drink still the water directly from the river. So we are really, really fortunate with water. But I didn't know that this is not the normal. You know, most likely when you go to Africa or Asia or South America, it's not everywhere. So I was very into water, and I'm still very into water. And I always drink water during the show. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not vodka or something. I don't drink alcohol. This is water. I love water because it's so important. And I guess we have to really take care about water. We really have to preserve water, and I think we have to rethink about how we spend water and waste water. No, water is very, very important. Without water, again, nothing is growing. And you know, we can stay for days without food. I mean, I sometimes do fasting for a long time, but we need water. We need liquids, and yeah, water is so important.
Do you know the expression, water everywhere and not a drop to drink?
Yeah.
I think that's referring to ocean water, seawater that's salt.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I know people, you know, who how do you call it, who are cruising the world in a sailing boat or something like that. You're surrounded by water, but you don't. But when you run out of drinking water, you're really fucked. As long as you don't have a special filter system where you can, you know, make drinking water out of seawater. We all have these technologies now, of course. But I also used a product like that, but it's still a little bit tasty. So the coffee, well, it's not really good. At the tea, you cannot bring the whole salt out. It's a little different. But yeah, that's true. You water around, there's no drop of water. Yeah, absolutely.
So what is it about ocean water that we can't drink it? Why is that? What would happen if we just started guzzling seawater?
Oops. First of all, everybody tells us that salt water is very unhealthy. It's not, to be honest. It will shock some people. No, it's not. It depends on the how to say, how many percentage of salt the water had. A little bit of salt in the water is not that bad. So what I do is I drink salted water. I was sailing too in the past. So when I was out in the ocean, salted water was very clean. I was drinking salted water, but not 100%. I mixed it with normal drinking water, so it was not that intense. And this is okay. So when you drink the real salted water with a high percentage of salt, it's not good for your system, but a little bit is okay. And actually, it's healthy. That's one of this myths that the industry tells us, like, fat is bad and salt is bad. So when you have high blood pressure, salt is bad or something like that. No, salt is very important. We need the minerals, especially when you do a lot of workouts, when you sweat, you need a lot of salt. So salt is very healthy. No, you can drink ocean water, but not 1-to-1. You have to, when you have clean ocean water and you mix it a little bit with sweet water, you can drink it, and actually it's healthy. To be honest, it's healthy. It's working.
All right. So it's healthy to have a small amount, like we just discussed on the other show, everything in moderation. But what's unhealthy is all the ocean pollution and air pollution, and there's so much that impacts the ocean. And we are contributors in a big way as humans, not you and I specifically, but there are, the whole fishing industry. I mean, I love my fish, right? We've got to count on the fishermen. But what about how do we still have a sustainable way of living and not pollute?
Yeah, I guess it's the point, when we talk about pollution of the ocean, I guess we talk about plastic, and again, plastic is not evil. To be honest, when I have to go to the hospital because of an accident, I'm happy that the products they use is plastic and not crystal glass, because if it breaks, I get hurt. So plastic is not evil per se, but we use it too much. Actually, too much. And the other thing is, I think, first of all, it's avoiding plastic and all the other stuff, and secondly, it's recycling it and bring it back to in the circulator and reuse it again. I think that's very important. And to be honest, the government, it's not my government because I'm not living anymore, but I'm born in Austria. Since the 1st of January, we have to pay for every bottle, for every can, extra money, and we get it back when we bring it to the supermarket bag. So this was only with crystal glasses, but there are almost no crystal glasses anymore. Most of it is plastic. So every plastic bottle or a can we bring back, we get money back. So we pay for it when we throw it away. So most people bring it back. So that's a cool system, because we have to force people not to throw the stuff away, because most people are so unaware what's happening. And I guess I mentioned it in one of the previous shows some years ago, 3 years ago, when I was in Spain, traveling in Spain in winter. I was on a cool camping site with some young people there. Jonathan, we did an interview with him about the camping site and the gin he's producing.
Yes.
And we went out to the beach, and 40 people or 35 people collecting garbage on the beach. And to clean up the beach, and this was also sponsored by the small town there, and it was sponsored by a camping site on the beach, because they benefit when it's clean for their tourists. Anyway, so and I was there, and I was picking up plastic and rubbish and stuff like that, and there was a torrent. A torrent is a kind of a small river that has not much water, only in winter, when the snow is melting coming down to the sea. They call it a torrent in Spain, and they were fishing. I guess there was 20 fishermen fishing there in all this rubbish. Can you imagine? All this plastic and fishing there, and we putting out the plastic. And I speak Spanish, and one of the guys said, "What are you doing here?" Yeah, I said, "We collect the plastic." I said, "Why are you doing this?" I said, "Yeah, it's not healthy, because after a while the plastic falls in smaller parts, and the smaller parts, then we have microplastic, then the fish is eating it, and in the end, you and your kids are eating the fish, and you have this plastic in your stomach, which is more or less okay, but we all know that it's coming into your brain through the blood system, and that's not okay anymore." And he said, cool, you're right. He was thumbs up, and while he was talking to me, he was taking the last cigarette. I remember it was in Marlboro, but not about Marlboro. He was taking the last Marlboro out, a lighted Marlboro, and throwing away the package of Marlboro and an empty can of beer. I looked at him and he looked at me, and then he realized what it was. He was totally unaware of what he's doing all the time. He's talking to me and said, "Hey, that's really cool to clean up here for a better environment for my fishing." And at the same time, he's throwing away this empty cigarette bags and this empty beer can. So most people are not aware what they're doing. They're just used to it. They throw it away. And I was in Sicily, the same. And even here, I'm here in a kind of national park in Belgium. There are a lot of how you call it, rubbish bins. Yeah, we can grow, but people still throw the stuff on the side or something like that. So most people are not aware what they're doing. And the thing is, we have to realize that everything you throw away and is not recycled or burned in a certain facilitation is ending up in the ocean sooner or later. So it comes to the water, it comes to the river, the larger river, and then it goes to the ocean. And then we have this mess there. And we have to be aware about, because some people think, yeah, it's in Asia, it's not here, it's somewhere. But the point is that the microplastic is coming back, and then at the end, it's in our food, and it's when we eat it. It's everywhere. We all know that microplastic is right now everywhere, all over the globe. And it's not about who's polluting it, which country it doesn't matter. It's everywhere, and we have it in every food inside. Not only fish, but it's also the animals for drinking water. When you eat meat or whatever, we find microplastics everywhere. And the scary thing is that we now find microplastics also in newborn babies in their brain, and this is really scary.
Yeah, it's so true. I just read an article somewhere. I'm trying to think of what the article was. And I think it was an animal, actually. And they had to do something to the animal's brain. And then while they were in there, they found all these little pieces of plastic that were in the brain.
Yeah.
So
and still in babies now. It's now in babies.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So the global impact of clean water is enormous. I know you've had on another guest from Push Child Foundation, and there were videos of children walking, I think 3 miles with a thing on their head to get the water to take it back to the camp. And I thought, we just take it for granted. You just turn on a faucet, and people in places of the world don't have fresh water and have to walk miles just to get it.
Yeah. I saw a picture from how you call it, a black baby, a beautiful black baby, or a little boy, and they said, "Really, you're shitting in the water I'm drinking?" So these people cannot imagine that we waste drinking water. And like I said, we spoil. We flush the toilet, we clean our cars or whatever, because for them, clean water they don't have access to clean water, and so we really have, especially in our society, we have to really think about it. But to be honest, but it's not only the consumers, because it's always about the consumers. You have to take care about this. It's the industry too. There's so many different industries that really waste water you cannot imagine. To cool power plants down. When we talk about artificial intelligence, we have to cool all these computer systems and the servers. Many industries, when you produce aluminium, steel, whatever it is, or food, we use so much water all over the globe. It's not just the water that we drink or that we shower or that we flush in the toilet. It's a global problem at all. And we as a consumer, we can make an impact. And it's not only about that we save water at home. Of course, it has an impact, but it's more about how we decide what kind of products we buy, meaning what kind of producer we support them with, not, because it's a huge waste of water, and it's really terrible. And what I always say is we have to be clear. It's when people say we have to save the planet. No, the planet doesn't need us. We need the planet. We have to save ourselves, because Mother Earth will survive. They survived the dinosaurs. They survived many catastrophes for millions of years. Yeah, we humans have to realize it's about us. We have to take care about ourselves and about our next generation, of our kids and grandchildren. It's not about Mother Earth. It's about us, because Mother Earth doesn't need us. When we disappear because there's no water or whatever is happening here, Mother Earth is recharging and going on, because it happened many times. It's not the first time, and so we have to. It's for us. It's really for us. and for our kids that we take care about the planet, meaning taking care about ourselves. That we have to understand. It's not about something, the Green Party or whatever. It's about us, and it's really important that we understand that water is so important, and because without water, it's not only that many industries are not working. It's water's everywhere. I mean, I drink water all day. It's my favorite drink besides coffee, and even for coffee I need water. For those who drink beer, without water there's no beer, yeah, or whatever. So you need water for cooking, for drinking, and water is so important. And it's about clean water, and it's more difficult to get clean water, to be honest, because I travel a lot, and there are many countries, even in Europe. I don't drink the water from the pipe anymore because it's polluted. It has microplastics. It has a lot of steroids inside. A lot of some cities you have a lot of cocaine in the water, or fentanyl, or you have this vaccine from the COVID stuff like in the water. So it's really difficult to get clean water, and especially in the US. I mean, in the US you have the worst water. You have fluoride in the water, which really is hurting your amygdala and your, I don't know how to call it. Where you connect to your higher source. It's a civil truth. I don't know the English word. Sorry for that. So water is so important, and we really have to take care about water. Yeah.
Very true. And I love the fact that you do travel the world, and you've seen a lot. You've been in a lot of places, and you know the reality that it's difficult to find clean water. And when you see someone in a public place and they've got the spigot, the faucet on, and then the water's just running and they're not even using it. There's so much waste, and ways that we could actually help ourselves. I love the fact that you mentioned we don't have to save the planet, we have to save ourselves. I think that's really profound.
Yeah, it's interesting. Sometimes when a girl comes with me on my motorhome, or years ago on a sailing boat, the first thing is to learn about not wasting water, because you only have a certain amount of water in the tank on the boat on the motorhome. It's not about go in the shower and let it run, and then soap, and it's running all the time. No. Yeah. You make yourself wet, you soap yourself, clean yourself, and then you put it on. It's absolutely different, because I have a huge tank here in my motorhome, but I know when a girl has a normal shower, I'm empty.
So tell our audience, so you're living in an RV, and you have to go and get water and put it in the RV. How does that work?
Yeah, there are certain, sometimes I go to a camping site or to a certain place. I use certain apps where I can get water. Mostly I pay for it. Sometimes it's free. Mostly, sometimes I pay for it. And when I'm in the real wild, like I was in Norway or some areas where we're really in the wild, where this water is very clean, I use the water just from a river. Yeah, from a small wild river, because that's the best water I can get. So I have no issues with water, but I always have to refill my tank, of course. Yeah, of course. Because it's just limited, it's not endless. I don't have a long miles and miles long tube behind me that connected me, so I have to bring water with me. To be honest, at the moment, I'm sometimes I buy drinking water, so I'm not using the water in my tank for drinking. I use it for showering, cleaning my dishes, washing some stuff. I buy bottled water for drinking water, but I keep the bottles, and then when I find a good place where the water is really good and clean, I refill it. So because I don't want to buy all the time bottled water with all this plastic and stuff like that, so I have a storage with large bottles, and I refill them again. That's what I'm doing. When I come to a good area, refill it. Well, to be honest, I'm thinking, I don't know why I did it in the past, but I had it in my house in Mallorca. But I think about buying a good water filter system from a motorhome that is really working probably. And secondly, that doesn't use much space, because on a motorhome we're limited on space. But I'm thinking about it. It's actually on my list. I made a list when I'm buying or when I'm renovating my motorhome. What's the next one on my list is a water filter system. Yeah.
You know what I have, and again, not a paid spokesperson, but I have a Brita filter, and I bought this pitcher from Brita and you put the filter in there and it lasts for 6 months. So I'm just refilling it all day. I love to drink water, and I also love this caffeine. There's no caffeine in this, the passion tea. So I just refill the pitcher all day long, and then I have my filtered water.
I have a similar system, where I do filter water, but I want something that is really installed in my water system, the motor, and then I just put on the pipe, just in the kitchen, not in the bathroom. Doesn't make sense in the shower, but just in the kitchen. I want to install a fixed system, because I do the same, and then I have to change the kadouche.
Yeah.
Actually, I changed every 2 months or something like that.
Kadouche?
Kadouche, we say in German. Yeah, the kadouche. Yeah, the kadouche. Yeah, the kadouche.
We call it a filter.
Oh, the filter. Okay, so I have to change that. I use it too, but it's I guess it's two. I don't know. It's 2 liters inside. It's a hell of work doing it, but I use this too. But I'm thinking about to buy a fixed system and install it in my water system, and doing that. And I highly recommend people, if their water is not really tasty or really good, buy a water filtration system. I guess at the end it costs some money, but it's cheaper than buying bottled water. You don't have to go to the supermarket, carry it home. I know Americans, you're always driving, we're more walking, but you don't have to carry it home. You don't have the empty bottles and the stuff. So I'm a huge fan of water filter systems, because you can really have a good tasty water and a healthy water and a clean water when you have a good system. There are good systems out of the market. And by the way, you mentioned me, I'm a Just Plus distributor. When I met the Just Plus company in 1994, so 31 years ago, Just Plus was just brand new, just came, or was on the beginning to come to Europe. But at the time, the company was selling water and air filtration systems. I stepped into the business not because of Just Plus. It came a little bit later. I stepped into business because the company was selling water filtration system at the time. Interesting, by the way. And I had these filter systems in all my houses and my apartments. So I'm a huge fan of water filter systems. So I'm thinking, why the fuck? I have my motor now 7 years. Why didn't I install one in here? But I have to. Yeah, water filters are really good, because it is really, man, it is really crazy. You mentioned, these guys from Uganda, who I support, this that they walk really miles and miles, mostly the women and the kids, and carrying the water back to the village, but the Americans and Europeans are the same. They just drive to the fucking to the supermarket and buy bottled water. It's the same, You have water at home, but you go to the supermarket and bring water home. It's kind of stupid. So I really recommend water filter systems. It's not only cheaper, it's not only healthier. We know the quality is much better, but it's also, you're also supporting, when we talk about pollution, that there's less plastic going around this. And I mean, to be honest, companies are shipping water thousands of miles, I don't know, from Iceland to the US, or French water to the US. It's stupid, shipping water in bottles over the ocean. When we talk about, pollution and the CO2 and stuff like that, it doesn't make sense at all. So the best way is, when we talk about water and having an impact to the world, is not only pollute, meaning using less plastic, recycle it, is I always say the most impact on the environment is your food choices. Yeah. Do you really have to import everything that comes a long way, or you buy locally? The same is with water. Why don't you use your local water? And if it's not good, buy a water filter system. It's easier.
Yes, excellent points for sure. I want to touch on something that you mentioned a little while ago. I told you that I watch some reality TV shows, and I like the ones where people decide they're going to go out in the woods by themselves and they're going to see how long they can last. And many times I've seen people drink from the river, whatever the local water is, and they get very ill because they didn't boil the water. So how do you know when you're drinking out of a river whether or not it's pure and clean?
Well, first of all, when my dogs drink it, when Aloe is drinking it, why shouldn't I drink it? And if I'm not quite sure, I boil it, not quite cook it.
Yeah, that makes sense, because you never know what's in the water, right?
Yeah. When I was in Scandinavia, Piero, we had him also on the show. Piero Visconti, my Italian friend in Norway, when I visited him last summer, we have been in areas. By the way, Norway has water like crazy. They have no electricity, problem because they produce electricity like crazy for free because they have so much waterfalls and stuff like that. And the water is really, really great there. Really, really great. But also in Austria, in the mountains, you can drink the water. I mean, if I go to Vienna, I wouldn't knee down on the Danube, and drink the water for sure not at all. I even wouldn't cook it, so boil it. No. There are some areas, no, not at all. But when you're in the real wild, you can do it. But you have to know, of course, where you are, and meaning being in the wild. Especially when you're in a river, you have to know where the river is coming from. Maybe there's a factory somewhere in the wild, a few miles ahead, and they're putting all this the shit in the water. So you have to be clear about but cooking water is helpful to kill most of the bacteria. Yeah, but but there's still also, when you're in the wild, there are some cool water filter systems you can use in the wild. And I know also for motorhomes, you really can use every water. You can really pump the water in your tank through a filter system and make drinking water with it. So technology is really cool. It's expensive, of course, but good things cost money, cheap things are mostly not good. There's always a way. If you want to have access to water, there's always a way, and there's a lot of stuff in the market. Just do some research. There's a lot of systems in the market, and as I said before, I highly recommend systems to filter the water in the wild. As you said, man. If you know the region you can drink, it's the same, when you see a mushroom. If you're an expert on mushroom, take it and eat it. If you're not, maybe leave it. You never know. I'm not an expert on mushrooms. I love mushrooms when I go into the forest, but luckily my friend Piero in Norway is one, so we found many. Actually, last week I was frozen them. I was eating the last ones. So if you're not an expert, stay away from it. But most areas you can drink it. Many areas in the wild you can drink the water.
That's right. If you're not an expert, seek help or just walk away. So the title of our show is The Future of Clean Water. So what do you think the future is? Do you think it looks bright? Do you think there's hope for us?
I have no idea, but I think so. But to be honest, I always say I'm so happy that I'm not in my 20s anymore. I suffer a lot. I feel a little bit guilty for my kids, to be honest. It's really tough at times. I think that I always think positive, and I never think in problems. I always think in solution. I think that people are waking up more and more. I mean, humans, when you look at humans, how humans react, we react on emotions, and most of us are only willing to change when the pain is really, really harming you, when you cannot stand the pain anymore, then you're willing to change. Most people don't change for willingly. So they change because the pain is too much, and I guess the pain is getting more and more. But the technology is there, and water is there, and the point is, if it's interesting, when we talk about climate change and all these things and geoengineering, I said, there's no water, it's dry. Then water's never away. The water's always there. It's just somewhere else. Yeah, the water is like energy there. It's always there. It's always the same amount of water on this planet. It's just somewhere else, When it's not raining here, it's raining somewhere else. When I look in Europe, I don't know if you saw it on TV last winter, actually this winter when I was in Sicily. I was lucky there, but it was heavily raining for weeks, and many thousands of people died in Spain actually this winter. So we had a lot of floods and rain in Spain, what is normally very dry, and in Portugal. And then we had a lot of dry stuff in the north of France and in Germany. So whereas normally it's wet in winter. So I always say the water is not gone in Germany and France. It just was in Spain. So the water is always there. And I know that we have all the technology that we can clean water, of course. We can always clean water. We can filter water. That's not the problem. I guess the issue is more for poor people in poor countries to get access to clean water, and for rich people, it's not a problem. And I mean, think about that, jacalyn. You go to a restaurant and you pay $6, $7, $8 for a bottle of water. That's normal nowadays. Yeah, when you go to a restaurant to drink, buy, I don't know, a French water or Italian water or whatever, you buy. Hey, here in Europe, you buy between $7. Beer's beer's at the moment cheaper, but get a bottle of water in an Italian restaurant, it's €7 to €10 a bottle of water. So it's more expensive than gasoline. So I think there will be a problem for poor countries and less educated people to have access to clean water, what is already a reality. And we also know that in the Middle East, that's water can be an issue, meaning the lack of water can be an issue and provocate the access to rivers or stuff like that. So we know that there are some gas. I'm mixing Spanish, guerra is the word. So there's some wars going on because of water, because some people have no access to water. We know this from Syria and the Lebanon and Turkey in this area. There's a huge thing because when a river is floating through different countries and the country in the beginning starts to stop the river, building a huge dam to produce electricity, then there's less water coming to the next countries, and that's an issue for the agriculture, but also for the people. So water is an issue, absolutely, but I'm still positive. We have the technology, and of course we pollute water. Yes, that's what's going on. That was said before. We have to waste less water or taking care about water. Pollute less, recycle plastic, because that's an issue that we mentioned before. But I'm very positive. We can clean water. The thing is, it costs money. Cleaning water is really expensive. Not in a small household. When we talk about cleaning water in for a village or for a city, it costs water, and the prices of water is going up. I don't know how it's in the US, but here in Austria, it's water. We know when you connected to the public water system, every year prices is increasing, and the industry says yes, because we have to invest more money because there's more pollution in the water. Actually, more pollution. There are more pharmaceuticals in the water. There's more. We have a lot of drugs in the water, especially large shit like cocaine, phenol, and stuff like that. We have a lot of hormones from women in the water. That's not very healthy for men, especially for young men. So we have a lot of estrogen in the water. Also from the how you call it, the anti-baby, the pill, to not get pregnant. And we had this pandemic 5 years ago. So all this stuff also through the urine comes into the system. And what we're doing is, most people believe that we always drink the water from the mountain. It's a very rare country to do this. Most of the country is circulating. So you drink the water, you shower, you wash your dishes, you wash your car. The water gets in the canal system, comes to the factory, will be cleaned and filtered, and it comes back to you. So it's a circulation system. It's not always pure water from the mountain. It's an illusion for many, many people. So we have to be aware that the water is going through your system many times. And more people are taking pharmaceuticals, more people taking drugs, more people have whatever in their blood system. So the water enriches, has more and more of these drugs, pharmaceuticals, and whatever toxic stuff inside. And I know some people who are working in the industry, and they tell me it's more and more difficult to get rid of this stuff. How we get out of it or filter it? It's more and more difficult, and it's very, very expensive. So that's what I see an issue. We can filter water. We always can have access to water, but it's in a circulation system. I hope I speak it right in English. So we use always the same water. It's nothing coming in. As I said, there's always the same amount of water on the earth. We use it again and again and again and again, and we have to filter it again and again in cities. And it's a huge challenge to bring all this toxic stuff out of the water. As I said, pharmaceutical drugs and stuff like that.
It's a major issue, that's for sure. And I think you and I are both elevated listeners. And I think if we have more people listening and then banding together so that we can actually accomplish saving ourselves, I think we would be one step closer. We are actually one step closer to the end of our show. So we have run out of time, Roland. For people who are not watching, but they're listening on an audio only platform, specifically, how can they reach you?
Yeah. Before I answer this, I remind when I was in my teenage age, my rebels, we always said, save water, shower together. Not alone. I remember this. Anyway. Was always a trick to get with a girl into the shower. Saving water was always a good quote. So how to get in contact with me? Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you're interested in me, get to know more about me or what I'm doing, the best way to get in contact with me is my email. It's office@roland-friedl.com. I will spell it for you, office and then at. roland-friedl.com, office@roland-friedl.com. That's the best way. Who should contact me? Everyone who wants to live their life to the fullest, being more happy, being more successful, having more fun in life. Come to me. I have a lot of experience. From 60 now. I'm a lot of experience. I'm a little bit a strange guy. I would say a crazy guy. I live a little bit differently. I always did what I want to do. Like, this favorite song. I did it my way. I did it my way. And it was sometimes challenging, but I have a lot of experience. And I know that some people are really waking up and say, is this everything in my life when they're in their 40s or 50? I mean, I want to do something different. Maybe I want to change my job or start my own business or want to travel more, whatever it is. Or do, and some people are really scared that they're doing the wrong decision. They're scared about failing. They're scared about what other people are thinking about it. And I know that's very, very helpful and supportive when you have somebody on your side who went through all this with a lot of experience and walk the first miles with you together until you feel more comfortable with your new way. And that's how I work. So I'm happy if you contact me. Let's have a call and then see. Well, first an email and then we arrange a call and then take it from there. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciate you and your time. And I wish you safe travels and look forward to chatting with you outside of here.
Thank you so much. All the best. And for our audience, thanks for joining us. And don't forget, all the shows are also recorded on YouTube. And go to the channel. If not done so far, subscribe and hit the bell. There are many, many other shows from amazing colleagues. Thanks so much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Be safe. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. Our next show is coming up. We look forward to bringing you additional education and information. Thanks for joining us. And please do go over to our YouTube channels, which are USA Global TV and Radio, and also Dr. Jacalyn-Kerbeck, and subscribe to both of them. This is where we are keeping track of all the information, all the subscribers, all the demographics, what you like, what you want to hear, what you want to learn about. All right. Thank you again. Bye-bye.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting. We're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dies. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn-Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.